Okay. Good evening, everyone here at Monamore Coffee and Wine. Welcome to Art in the Basin. Yeah. We are in a live working cafe here in the Bronx. My name is Amy Joy. Like I said, this is Art in the Basin. And I want to start with just talking. 8 years ago, I decided to put together this little thing here in this little cafe called Monamore Coffee and Wine with the generous contribution of Jeffrey and Yahira, who are the owners here. We have been able to command this space and just talk to each other. What I found was camaraderie. What I found was community. What I found was a connection. What I found gave me the courage to continue. So let me introduce the man who is not only our host today, but he will be our featured reader. Thank you to New York Cultural Affairs and Poets and Writers. Tim W. Brown was born and raised in Rockford, Illinois. In 1983, he graduated summa cum laude from Northern Illinois University with a degree in American Studies. He is the author of 4 novels: Deconstruction Acres in 1997, Left of the Loop in 2001, Walking Man in 2008, and Second Acts in 2010, which won the 2010 London Book Festival Award for General Fiction. He currently lives in the Bronx and earns his living as a writer at Bloomberg LP. He's also once known as the minor god in the Chicago poetry scene and an all-around good neighbor. Please help me welcome Tim W. Brown, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Man, it's a full cafe here tonight. So geez, thanks for the support. And thanks for joining us for the second installment of our month-long 8th anniversary. As Amy Joy has indicated, we've been here in the same cafe, this space here, for 8 years now. We started in 2017. And it keeps going and going and going. And every April, we do, kind of a special set of readings, including a reading by yours truly. So I guess hang on to your hats. Here we go. So not only at Art in the Basin do we do these readings and these events during the year, we also do other things as well. For example, last weekend, we did the Dead Poets Rise game at the Spuyten Duyvil Library. And we also do probably 3 or 4 times a year writing workshops with actual published writers that you've probably heard of. This last workshop we had, I believe it was in January, with poet Cheryl Fish, who is both a poet and a fiction writer, actually, but she was teaching a theme workshop on Haibun poetry. Now, I don't know if you know what Haibun poetry is. I didn't before the workshop, but it's a traditional Japanese form that's sort of funky because there's sort of like a prosy, almost prose poem-like paragraph or beginning, and then it ends with a traditional haiku, which of course is the 3-line, 17-syllable thing. And so I actually wrote a couple. I attended the workshop as well. And I thought I'd share a couple of those with you before I get into the main event. Hopefully I'll see me there. Okay, so this is Haibun 1. I didn't really give it a title. In adolescence, the city carved itself from the landscape, willing itself into being, announcing, "I am here, listen to me." A fat, lumbering blob, when full grown, the city sucked up waterways, shaved off hills, scoured the edges of valleys, paved over paths of disappeared natives. The city's occupants shoveled cultural detritus onto every vacant space as landfill. In old age, the city misremembered the original place names during forgetful marches up avenues, down boulevards, through museum galleries and hospital hallways, between cemetery headstones. And here's the haiku. Canada geese honk, insolently skimming the flooded roadway. But hopefully there's sort of thematic things that. Sorry about that. I have too many things here I have to manipulate. Oh, I got it. I'm good. Yeah. Okay. So this is Haibuntu. I take a midnight walk through the park, which is soggy from October rain. Under fallen, interlaced leaves, I sense the boogeyman is lurking, just like beneath my bed when I was 5. I look up through the battered moonlight and see a big shiner on the man in the moon's face. It's lumpy, gibbous, swollen, bruised by gravity, slapped by sunlight. Passing clouds briefly smooth over cuts and scratches, which well up again and redden, like a sad attempt to cover injuries with cosmetics. I make a frightful witness. And here's the haiku. The moon is a beacon illuminating the path to my destruction. Thank you. Thank you. Amy Joy didn't actually, well, she did mention it briefly. In 2010, which was when the last novel of mine came out, Second Acts, there's a short excerpt I'd like to read for everyone, but she didn't actually mention tonight that it's her favorite book of mine. Just if you want some sort of testimonial, there it is. It's Amy Joy's favorite book of mine. It's sort of an unusual book. It's very picaresque in approach. It's set in the 1830s, so it's kind of like a historical novel or comic historic novel because it is intended to be satire or comedy. What else can I tell you? The story begins when this young man ends up following his wife and her lover, a University of Chicago physics professor, into the past. This professor invents time travel, and they go to Fermilab, which is a particle accelerator outside of Chicago, and poof, they're gone into the past. So once in the past, the individual has numerous adventures, from chapter to chapter as he makes his way from Chicago to New York City, which of course in the 1830s was not an easy thing to do. But he meets all kinds of crazy characters. And in fact, there are a couple of actual historical personages in this book. For example, Albert Gallatin, who was a polymath that actually is buried in the campus of New York University because he founded it, I believe. And also Samuel J. Tilden, who in this book is a 19-year-old law student. He later becomes governor of New York State and ran for the presidency and had the misfortune of, in an electoral college tie, losing to Rutherford B. Hayes through sort of a corrupt compromise that involved slave states that were trying to get back into the Union and getting them to vote a certain way. Anyhow, the last thing you should know about this book is that our hero picks up a sidekick along the way, a Potawatomi Indian named Listening Rabbit, or Bunny for short. Bunny is a birdash, which in our contemporary terms might be someone who's a, not a transsexual. What do we call people now? Non-binary, yeah. So she is actually a male who is living life as a female squaw in the Potawatomi tribe. And so, without further ado, you know, a lot of people my age and older, actually, at this point, talk about and reminisce of about New York City's bad old days, right? In the 1970s and 80s. They kind of went away. I think a lot of it had to do with the baby boom growing up, because a lot of the criminals in that era were kind of, prime age males who were criminal in some certain way. But they all grew up, and then the city got nicer and richer and more safe and everything else like that. But the bad old days of the 1970s and 80s don't hold a candle to the bad old days of the 1830s in New York City, when violence was just an hourly occurrence. I mean, it wasn't even a daily occurrence. It was an hourly occurrence. So this is what happened in one particular attack that occurred in 1830s. A knavish pair foolishly set upon Bunny and me one evening outside of Francis Tavern, an historical landmark where George Washington himself had supped, after we had stepped inside to wet our whistles. We probably looked like easy prey, a tipsy gentleman slipping and sliding in the snow while escorting his drunken lady friend. "Your money or your lives," growled the first assailant, who, in filthy shirt sleeves, evidently needed my money to purchase a winter coat. He had perhaps the worst complexion I had ever seen: mountainous pimples and whiteheads and blackheads on top of smallpox pits. "You best obey if you want to live," seconded the other as he displayed a knife. He wore a frayed wool coat that perhaps he traded off wearing with his partner. Absent the knife, he could have killed with his pungent odor. Bunny took one look at the knife and burst out laughing. Emboldened by alcohol, I too laughed, for the robber wielded a dagger not much larger than a common penknife. With all of the belligerence he could muster, he waved it threateningly in front of our faces, his awful smell wafting behind the figure eights he drew in the air. "You'll find this funny, all right," he said upon lunging at my midsection. The other robber stood by, roguishly smiling, savoring how his partner was about to teach us a lesson in response to our insolence. Before I could react and dodge the blow, Bunny parried the move by grabbing my attacker's wrists, bending his arm back, and forcing him down onto his knees. "Help! Help!" the robber cried to his partner, who froze, dumbstruck, unable or unwilling to come to his friend's aid. I also was awestruck by Bunny's maneuver, and I stood aside to let her manage the perilous situation after her own fashion. While holding the robber's other flailing arm at bay, Bunny wrenched his hand, which still clutched the knife, against the side of his head. With a quick flick of his wrist, she caused him to slice off his own ear. "You bloody redskin bitch!" he screamed, dropping the knife and frantically patting the snow in search of his severed ear. After finding it beside his left knee, he raised it to his head and attempted in vain to place it back where it belonged. Because he lacked the means, like needle and thread, to reattach it, it fell once again onto the street. He repeated this action a couple more times before finally scooping up the pulpy mess and running after his partner, who had meanwhile disappeared up the street. On this occasion, at least, the blood staining the street belonged to the robber and not the robbed. "Who he calling bloody redskin?" Bunny asked me. "Him, the one with bloody red skin." Then she let out a blood-curdling war whoop that drew curious faces out of every window up and down Pearl Street. Our state of affairs dismissed by the neighborhood as an ordinary street altercation. Heads popped back inside again, windows were lowered, and shutters were slammed. Bunny picked up the knife and slipped it into her handbag. She has kept it to this very day as a keepsake of the one instance in her life when she played the role of brave instead of squaw. Thanks, everyone. That's it for me tonight, at least in this featured role. Let's bring back, I guess, Amy Joy, who would, I guess, have other
All right, let's give, I probably do. But I'm actually going to thank everyone for coming out. This is actually a full room. We have been dreaming of this moment for a long time. So thank you for being here. We have comedy coming up. And in the meantime, it's time to do what we normally come here to do, open mic. All right, so let me see a hand. Who's ready? Oh, you're ready? She's gonna do open mic? That's okay, Mom? Oh, together. Yeah. Okay.
My name's Liana. This is my dad, Mickey. We're gonna do the song Unicorn Union. I'm learning to play ukulele.
Do you want to? And who is this?
My ukulele's name is Watermelon.
And can you show us some things on ukulele?
This is C7.
Good.
This is A minor. This is F.
Good.
This is A major.
Good.
And this is C major 7. And this is C.
Good job. Good job to you, Leon and Watermelon. Okay. So when we sing the song, what instrument do you want to have, or do you want to have those props there? Okay. That's Leon introducing Watermelon, and do you want to introduce the song that we're gonna sing?
We're gonna sing the song Unicorn Union. And whenever people we say union, I'm gonna put the butterflies together.
Oh, and who made up the song Unicorn Union?
We did together. The reason Daddy thought of it is because I pronounced unicorn on purpose. I bet you didn't know that was on purpose.
Well, I didn't. It was almost a year ago, though. Okay.
Daddy would think of a song, yeah.
Okay. So here we go. All right. There was once a unicorn. Her name was Buttercup. Her fairy worked her too hard, and though she was quite fed up, you treat me like a donkey, and well, I have had enough. I'm forming a union. Time to stand up to the fairies. Time to stand up to the fairies. Suddenly it isn't scary. It's the unicorn union. We're brought up to be servants from the moment we are born. There's a blister on your hoof and there's a callus on my horn. Let's use our rainbow magic to unite all unicorns in the unicorn union. Time to stand up to the fairies. Time to stand up to the fairies. Suddenly it isn't scary. It's the unicorn union. The fairies that we work for want to ride us night and day. They think we're glitter factories that don't need any pay. It's time for us to rise up with a loud resounding neigh in the unicorn union. Time to stand up to the fairies. Time to stand up to the fairies. Suddenly it isn't scary in the unicorn union. In the unicorn union. Good job, sweetie. Hey, thank you.
Oh. And what's your names again?
Liana and Mickey.
Yeah. And what is our act called again? I forgot. Do we have a name for our act?
Not sure yet.
Okay. We're still working on our name. We have some different ideas. Okay.
Thank you guys. Woo! And this is why we continue doing this. There is creativity here in the basin. Who's next? Come on, I see you out there. Yeah, Melinda, come on down. We are so lucky to have Melinda here with us tonight.
Thank you.
That was awesome, Liana. That was so good. I loved it. Very difficult act to follow. I'm going to read a poem called The Bees. In the clover beds at the far edge of campus, I sit straddling the sun and the shade, share my troubled thoughts with the bees. My mother, will she live? My uncle, when will he die? The logistics of life and death over which I have no power. Meanwhile, the small metallic sweat bees are so methodical in their work, so pleased to be busy with pleasure and purpose. I think of their relatives, the honeybees working on the body farms of Virginia to carry our organic materials of decomposition to their hives and then pay homage in honey. How can I learn their calm and cooperative ways, the precision of each wing beat, flower to flower, one life to support another and never for ourselves alone? I remember some weeks back, a beekeeper moved into my building in the Bronx. An odd place for a beekeeper, I thought. But what do I know? A cow pond girl from New Hampshire. What of the wild blueberries, the garter snake skins, and the abandoned vole dens? The beekeeper, though, knows how to protect the hive from predators, can identify their disease or predict their behavior. By way of introduction, the beekeeper offered his neighbors small jars of organic honey, the fruits of the bee's labor. And I think now, how easily we offer up the help of another as though it is our doing, our effort and toil. But still, how happy the bees seem to help, content to ferry the pollen, process the nectar, deliver us to another cycle of existence, to be our sweetest of keepers. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Melinda. You know, Melinda published a book earlier this year. Remind me of the title, what it was like to be a woman? Yes, What It Was Like to Be a Woman from Indolent Books, right? Yeah, okay, I remember. In fact, we bought a copy, so it's an excellent book. I would urge everyone to seek it out or talk to Melinda about how you can find a copy. But yeah, it's exciting when a book comes out by people you know. Let's see. We have more room for open micers. What about Eric? Eric, all right. So hopefully I can actually see that. That's right now I can. Just a little bit. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Always good to be here. And I am going to buy something to eat when I finish because it smells good. So I'm going to do a song which is called My Network. I'll be a big boy. Let's get this started. One more switch to switch. I think so. I hope so. I used to play a schmoozing game, but now there's nothing left to gain. So now my network's down to two. It's just you, baby, and me too. I want to schmooze with you. Once upon a time, I got around the 5 boroughs of New York town. I used to work everywhere, but now I ain't going anywhere because my network's down to two. Baby, it's just me and you. Everybody used to know me, and they all used to say, this poor slob's a workaholic back in those bygone days. But now my network consists of two. Baby, it's you and me too. I want to schmooze with you. I want to snooze with you. I want to schmooze with you. I want to snooze with you. Thank you. Oh, I think you might need the microphone.
Thank you, Eric. He's a man that puts performance in performance poetry. Am I right? Thank you, Eric, for coming out. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it sounded like you dashed it off just like by pure inspiration in like a minute or two. So anyway, thank you for that. We have any other open mic people who would like to? Oh, Claudia. All right, let's bring Claudia.
Okay, I've got a poem for you today. It's not really a new one. I know Tim and Amy have heard it before, but this is a new crowd, so I don't think any of you have heard it. It's called Friday Evening Rush Hour. The throngs of workers delivered from the skyscrapers of their bosses flood the subway entrance. Through the gates they go, one by one by one by one by one. Off to the side, I see a man in a suit, down on one knee, laptop propped up on the other. If I were a photographer and an asshole, I would have taken a photo, hung it in a gallery, and titled it Worship.
My. I take a lot of photographs, but geez, not usually of people, more of scenes. So hopefully I avoid the asshole label, which is something I've really struggled with since adolescence. How not to be an asshole. Anyway, I think I did okay. My friend and I used to have this theory. It's like people who wonder if they're assholes usually are not assholes because they have the self-reflection. And people who have no suspicion whatsoever that they're they're assholes, usually are, because they, again, have no self-reflection. Anybody else before we move on? Okay, well, I have a couple of announcements for you tonight. We'll be back here in 2 weeks for the third installment of the AITB April BDay Extra. The way the Tuesdays fell this month, there are 3 readings, right? Because it was the 1st, the 15th, and next will be the 29th. So join us here in 2 weeks for the 29th. We have a couple of excellent poets who are going to perform. First is the Westchester County Poet Laureate, Felicia Villanueva. She was here in, I think, December, something like that. And she just wowed everybody. And we were so happy to have her back. So she'll be back in 2 weeks. Excellent, excellent poet, young, very vibrant, just a great performer. So I do urge you to check it out. And David Mills, poet who right now is on a fellowship with the Bronx County Historical Society. He's writing a cycle of poems about some of the African-American experience in the Bronx during colonial times. And they're really good, actually. We saw him read at a Bronx County Historical Society event back in December, January, and we're just awestruck. So please do check those 2 out. So without further ado, why don't we bring up our next performer, Brad Mislow. He visited us here a few weeks ago and did some comedy, and we really liked him and asked him to come do this show tonight. So everybody, please welcome Brad. Maybe he'll tell you a little bit more about himself as well.
Hi guys, my name is Brad Mislow. I live up the hill. I do comedy from time to time, and hopefully you guys will like it and laugh and find something good to laugh about in this world that we that's doing great. Anyway, guys, but come on, it's tax day. It's tax day. Let's give it up for tax day. I mean, I was so excited to come. When they asked me to come here, I was so excited to do it because I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell you all my tax material. And here it goes. Okay, there's nothing funny about tax day. There's absolutely nothing, there's nothing humorous in tax day. There's anger in tax day. I mean, we're all sitting in a country that was started because of anger of tax day. And it's such a missed opportunity for people to laugh, because don't you think there should be tax day greeting cards? It's right there. There's such an I guess you would send it to your accountant or something to be like, happy tax day, darling. I claim you as a dependent. Happy tax day, my love. My heart is never exempt. Happy tax day, many happy returns. That's an easy one. And happy tax day, knock, knock. Happy tax day, knock, knock. Audit. I didn't know you cared. You know what? Bad idea. Bad idea. Let's not do that. But like, what's amazing to me is, and this is about as political as I'll get, but like these tariffs, oh my God, 145% tariffs, guys, on Chinese goods. Do you know what that's going to do to shopping? Walmart will now be luxury shopping. I mean, just put one right on Rodeo Drive and Fifth Avenue. I mean, think about it. You walk into Walmart, or you come out of Walmart and people are like, ooh, what's that? You like it? Laundry basket. Whoa, who made it? Ningbo Lucky Time. That's a real company. Look it up. Ningbo Lucky Time. You just model it down Fifth Avenue. But this year, my tax guy screwed up, guys. He screwed up. I found out by a letter from the government, which you never want. And, he was so blasé about it. He was so like, I was like, guys, you messed up my taxes. I went, oh, don't worry. It happens all the time. We can refile. It's no big deal. I was like, yeah, for you. I mean, have you gotten one of those letters? You don't want, I live by a rule, simply just, I want no government on my back at all. And tax day is the time they're doing it. But it's pretty easier now for me to do taxes because I recently got a new job. And I haven't worked in an office in a while. This is a 5-day-week job in an office, and something happened. How do I say this? These people who work at this office, they speak a different language now. It's called I wasn't born in the centuries. They're I've become the old guy in the office now, and it's weird when they don't get your references. Like I was walking by this young woman, and she went, "Hey, you." I said, "Get off my cloud," and she was like, and I was like, "Get off my cloud." She's like, and I had to go, "Ugh, it's a Rolling Stones song," and she's like, "Well, why would I be on your cloud, and why would you kick me off it?" I said, "Ask Mick Jagger." And another time I was in a meeting, and it was a good meeting. It was ending on a positive note, and I said, and someone said, "All right, this is good, guys. Okay, we're moving on up." And I said, "To the east side," and they all looked at me, and I could have stopped there, but I went, no, I went to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Yeah, nothing, nothing. I even looked at the two black coworkers, and I was like, nothing, and they're like, nothing. So this is what this is what this generation does now. They're just they're very sensitive. When I was working from home, and I had a contract job, and they didn't renew my contract, and that was okay. It wasn't personal; just they didn't have the money. And I would make self-deprecating jokes, or like, well, I would say, well, if you want the work done, there's a going out of business sale, and they and I would just say things like that. And I got a email from from your manager, always great, just says one-on-one. I'm like, oh, this can be fun. I'm like, hey, what's up? Yeah. Could you not like make jokes about you leaving? I said, it's not at anyone's expense. It's mine. See, yeah, but you're making some of the team uncomfortable. And I was like, wow. It's like to me, it was like, they took my, job away. So it's like, Brad, we're sorry we punched you in the face, but could you not bleed? It's scaring the children. Speaking of children, this is a side note. What's with the pajama bottoms on kids going, like, it's like, we had sweatpants, and now we're going, it's like, how less can I care? Because it's not just pajama bottoms I'm seeing, but it's like pajama bottoms with Christmas prints. It's like, who can be like, I'm so lazy, I'm not going to put away my candy cane Santa pajamas. I'm gonna just go walk out of bed. And I'm thinking, when I see them, and like, these kids are like 18, 19, and I keep thinking of my grandfather, who was like in Italy in World War II, and thinking that's what he was doing at his age, defending the right so that his future generations could wear pajama bottoms on the street. I didn't ask you, daughter. Okay, so I can heckle back. So I used to work from home, and I knew working from home jumped the shark. Does everybody get that reference? Okay, thank you. When like, working at home was great, and I realized that it couldn't sustain itself, because there are these corporate things you have to do, like all these assessment tests you have to take. You have to say you won't be corrupt, you won't harass anybody. I had to take a harassment test working from home, and I'm like, who am I going to harass? Like, my dog? I'm like, my kids? You dare not even harass my kids? Get out of bed, do something. But it just seems silly. And I think what happens when you work from home is that everything is on Zoom. And I think we our brains take in the fact that we are basically just TV shows. And after a while, they're like, I'm tired of this show. I'm not going to renew the season. And thank you. Thank you, Amy. It's a good laugh. And, and off you go, because we get canceled. Another thing about, interesting about working again is, I miss business trips. Did everyone ever miss business trips? Anyone like on a good one? Yeah. Business trips. I'll tell you what, I'm not like missing business trips like how it was a few years ago. I miss business trips before we had these, because it used to be when you were gone, you were gone. I'll be back in a few days. Everyone, don't burn the house down. Now it's different. Now, because of these, anyone who's home knows where you're eating, knows where you're staying, knows where you're going, and you have to answer for it. And so yes, I know when you're working and you're out somewhere, they're like, oh, well, it looks like you're at a restaurant. How was the food? And you're like, oh God. And like, and it's all public now. So, and someone is home, especially if there's a kid, taking care of the kid, literally cleaning diapers and doing the laundry and wiping noses while you're out in LA, just doing what you were doing for work. And I'm not saying things are, listener goes bad, but there is one answer. There's one acceptable answer if you're on a trip. What is that answer? How's your trip, honey? Busy. I'm busy. It's 18-hour days. I'm at the conference center. The food is terrible because the the worst thing that happens is that you have coworkers and they post pictures of like of your meal or what you're doing, and you get a call saying, so I saw like your coworker post a picture from a strip club. I'm like, yeah. And you're like, so it's like, well, were you there? I'm like, well, first of all, why are you friends with my coworker? And now that's the thing. But because the real thing is that, you know, the person from home, there really isn't, they're not really mad that, you know, that you're away. What they're really mad is that you're having fun. That's the new cheating. The new cheating is you're having fun. I'm at home. I think anything like, you know, any kind, of course, you know, anything. I mean, I never did anything bad on the trip. I never lied. I did anything that stayed in Vegas, but God forbid if you have fun. But there's a new way of cheating now. The new way of cheating is not, there's a new kind of cheating. Anybody know what the new cheating is? It's worse than any other cheating. It's watching an episode of a TV show that you watch together, and that person's not, oh my God. If you're busted watching a TV show that you're supposed to watch together, how could you? You know, like it was just one time. I was bored and meant nothing. How much did you watch? One episode, two episodes, the entire season? Busy. The answer is busy. But speaking of that, are we okay now with how that basically TV is back to what TV was? Like we're back to watching commercials now. They're now back on. Are we okay with that? We all the fact that, you know, now everything, the commercials found our way back into our streaming platforms, and I think that's fine. But here's the thing. So I used to work in advertising, and I used to make commercials, and networks were very, very specific on standards. Like that's why you see commercials that you didn't curse, you didn't have nudity. They were much cleaner than the actual programming on TV. But the problem now is that you have things like Max and things like and Peacock, and you're seeing things you would never see on network TV. So it's kind of shocking to me to see, like, you know, excuse me, you know, you just see, you know, you're cutting from a big giant close-up shot of a penis, and then boom, Jake from Steak Farm says, you know, it's like, it's just shocking. Or you see this blood and guts scene, like, oh my God, they massacred the entire castle, and then ba-da-ba-ba-ba, who wants a Big Mac? It's for me, it's shocking, and I'm like, okay, fine, I guess this is TV now. You guys have to ask me something. I gotta ask something. So, you know, people, it's a problem now that I'm seeing with dogs, is that they're eating what's left of a loose joint on the street, and you know, these vets get calls like, oh my God, my dog, he's freaking out, he's not moving, and then they go, oh yeah, your dog ate some loose weed on the ground. Like, what do I do? Well, bring him in and with something. But if a cat eats your weed, how do you tell? Like, you know, like something's weird with my cat. What's going on? I don't know. She's sleeping a lot, eating, staring. I think she's high, and I can't find my stash. I don't know. Just something that I observed. Oh my gosh. Oh God. It's funny that I do have a dog, and did I tell this last time? I don't remember. But my dog kind of broke the agreement we had for all these years. She decided on her own one day, just without, you know, we had a great agreement, and she just said on her own, she decided to become, how am I going to say this, an inside shitter. We had an agreement, my dog and me. We had this whole agreement that you get the free food and the medical care and the walks and choice of bed. All you got to do is just take it outside. And one day she just said, nope, I'm an inside shitter now. And I just was like, oh my God, I got to, and I know she's a little old. I took her to the vet, and they're like, well, you know, could be behavioral. I'm like, behavioral? Well, like, is she rebelling? I mean, I know she's a dog. She's limited in her capabilities of rebellion. Like, you know, it's not like she can, you know, paint. So I got to live with this now. I mean, she even shat on my girlfriend's bed while we were in the bed. I mean, she went full Amber Heard on my girlfriend. She took a herd turd. So yeah, and my girlfriend still stayed with me. So thank you out there for look at her now for sticking with that. Anyway, I'll end on am I at time or what's the deal? Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna end. This is why I usually end. This is speaking of my girlfriend who I'm crazy about. I had a poem about her over Valentine's Day. I thought you would would you like to hear this poem that I wrote for her? It's very sweet. It's called Bloated Lady. Um, Bloated Lady, I'm sorry your pants don't fit. Bloated Lady, I know you feel like shit. Bloated Lady, at least we know the cause. Bloated Lady, it's perimenopause. Thank you very much. I love you. I love you very much. That is everything that I wrote tonight. So you've been a great audience. I appreciate it. I'm going to be doing more of these from time to time. And thank you so much. And I'm going to read something out of Amy Joy's book. And Amy Joy is a wonderful poet writer, and she did all this. Big hand for her. Tell me where it is. Is this it? Yeah. Okay. This page. Okay, this is Amy's poem called Lead Love. Love at the helm, take me to an unseen realm. In it I'll dwell under sacred spell, waving until your gaze sits still. Love, lead the way. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's better than Bloated Lady. Okay. So, any more acts?
Okay.
All right.
Introduction to the benediction.
Sure.
Anyway, thank you guys very much. My name is Brad Meslow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. I'll, I guess, take this. And there is a bit of a coda to that poem that Brad read. Lead Love, if I can find it here. Let's see. Actually go to the table of contents. 19. Oh, sorry. Here we go. So those of you who have been to Art in the Basin in the past know that we tend to conclude each and every reading with what I've come to call a benediction. You remember, when you went to church, well, I was a Protestant, so I went to church, but some of you went to synagogues, and some of you went to cathedrals and places like that, but they all sort of had the same thing happening at the end. There's a benediction where the religious figure in charge, right, be it a priest or a minister or a rabbi or whoever, would sort of send everybody off, right, with like some memorable sorts of words that everybody recited. So that's what we do here. We recite stuff at the end. So I will read, let's see. Okay. So there's 3 words actually that we want to repeat here all together. It's like lead, let, love, right? Or let love lead, right? Yeah, see, she's confused me because in 2025, it's sort of backwards, but it's lead, let, love, right? Yeah. Yes, lead, let, love. Okay, so everybody, to conclude, please recite after me on 3, lead, let, love. So 1, 2, 3, lead, let, love. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Please do join us in a couple of weeks. Please do also follow us on the social media. We are Art in the Basin on YouTube. Oh, by the way, this show is being live streamed on YouTube, so do check it out. If you liked it the first time, hear it in person, you can watch it again on YouTube. So please do check it out. Art in the Basin, that's our channel. On Instagram, we're Art in the Basin, and on Facebook, we're AITB Art in the Basin. So with that, I will turn it back over to our co-host with the most, Amy Joy. Amy Joy.
Tim W. Round, right? He is the host with the most. I'm so grateful for his help all these 8 years, bringing everybody together. And thank you, poets and writers and New York Cultural Affairs, for supporting this event. And yeah, you want to lead, right? Because you're at the helm of your ship. We're navigating through this ocean we call life. And every wave is just a little journey to the next one, right? So lead with love and let that love in and out. Thank you all for joining me. Good night.